All right, we're doing our Monday stream, and it's going to be a little bit different from some of the other stuff that's been addressed recently. So, back in December, I did the most blame man of all time stream, and it was about just a variety of topics and things that were obnoxious and getting on my nerves and alike. And this is going to be pretty similar, so without further ado, let's begin. Now, I've mentioned previously my disgust and really disillusion with just a lot of things, one of them being the chick that had a baby. Because in knowing this person, well, first of all, knowing the circumstance, which is that the person is poor, and also in interacting with them in the years leading up to this, they were talking about how stupid it was that people even do that. So to see them end up in that same scenario when they, as an adult, via their own words, were fully aware of the fact that it was something that was, let's just say, not desirable for themselves or the child, was kind of, it was really just a sight to behold, like a complete 360 of their previous character. So I talked about how the kid would be disadvantaged, all of this stuff, and I had a person who said, "You've been mean to their baby." I said, "Yeah, I'm mean for saying that it's going to have a terrible life because of the crappy environment it was born into because of its parents. But the parents who are going to cause that, or who have caused that scenario, aren't being mean to it." Okay. Truth, I have a lot of compassion for people who are in circumstances that are out of their control. And I've often said that one of the most frustrating things about these people having these children they can't afford is that you're putting, you as a person who wouldn't do it, are put in a difficult position, because you don't want to punish the child. You want to punish the people who do it because you want to create an incentive for other people to not do it. But you also have to draw the line at the kid, because you're fully cognizant of the fact, due to your compassion and just common sense, that the child itself had nothing to do with the circumstance it was brought into. So I also did a video about a week ago called "California's Excrement Employers," or excrement, so kind of like waste, like basically calling them garbage, because I was very upset by the fact that in a span of, I believe, 50 days, I had 28 applications, and either I heard nothing back, or they said thanks but no thanks. And I saw someone put up a video yesterday where they were talking about how people are poor because they choose to be poor in America. You make your change, or you decide your fate. And it's a really it annoyed me because it was a simplistic view of reality. Because I've often talked about how I do think people have the chance to influence what happens to them, but even that can only go so far. So, for example, if I, and we've been over this before, if I applied to 50, 60, 70 places, and out of that, two of them give me interviews and they decline, the other ones don't say anything at all, or they say no without even meeting me, it really starts to feel as though it's more the fault of the system, or rather of the employers in general, than me, because I'm actively going out as a person with no criminal record and saying, "I will show up whenever you want me to, adhere to whatever your standard is." They have no way of knowing that I'm not going to do this, because I've shown no prior example of saying one thing and doing the other, at least when it comes to employment. And they still choose just to not even roll the dice at all, when they have no reason to believe that gamble, because you have a risk whenever you hire somebody new, uh that gamble would go in a way that they didn't like. So that was obnoxious to hear that yesterday. But I was thinking about the person who just 2 weeks ago had said something along the lines of, because I've brought up the scenario of me getting out of school before, which was that the school I went to rather wanted me to give them, or rather complete a series of courses. I completed all of them except for the math portion. You can't take two math classes at once. So you'd have to take, and there's 4 semesters in a year, but they have them like off limits for two of the semesters because they're deemed to be too short. They have I think it was the spring and the summer semester. So your option was to either go somewhere else that didn't care, that their refusal to send credits to was not conducive to, meaning that it was like, because they said the the state universities or the regular ones. So I got into somewhere that was out of state for that specific reason, to keep the stuff I had worked for. They wanted 12,000. I didn't have it. That was how I got out. But because this scenario has happened, and I've talked about how I think education in the U.S. is a scam due to scenarios like that, where even if I had 12,000, I couldn't fathom owning that amount of money. Just like, let's say that's all I have, and giving it to some school for a piece of paper that still won't guarantee me a position. And I was really upset by certain people because they do this thing where they gas you up. Oh yeah, man, you're smart. You need to go to school. You need to go. And then if you ask them for any assistance, um, they claim that, oh, this is so hefty and beyond my load. And I said before that when I looked at a lot of the things that were occurring around the same period, you know, people ripping up floors that they, for 3,000, and painting walls for 2,000, and spending 6,000 to get dents out of cars, not to fix the car, to make it look prettier. I kind of didn't buy that all these people were so poor and unable and destitute and unable to assist. But look, I can fully say as an adult, that person doesn't have to, and they didn't assist me with the cost of my education. But I sure as hell don't want to hear out of that person's mouth that they're so concerned about it, because if you were, you would have used some of those funds you used for the stuff that you didn't need for something that you claimed that I needed. That was all I was saying. It's simply just people being hypocrites. And I don't really understand the point or the reason to go out and spend, was it thousands of dollars in debt, so that when you get out of whatever level or grade you're in, you can be told how the reason you're in debt is because you didn't prioritize, and blah blah blah. So I decided that I would not do that either. Now, in response to this, a person basically decided that they were going to blame me for just these places saying nothing. They started talking about your hair. And I said before that when you fill out, at least from all of the sites I've seen, when you fill out any of the applications they have on there, they don't ask for your picture. They have no idea what you look like, other than when you fill out the racial identification box. And I guess when you put your name down, they might be able to assume what you are. But my point is that it is so ridiculous to go on these websites, fill out a bunch of boxes that, again, have nothing to do with appearance, and then be told by someone that because of the way you look, my supposed long hair or whatever, that supposedly is the reason why these places won't say anything back in large numbers, even though, again, none of them know what you look like. But no one thinks that's insane. Nobody says that's weird, that's crazy, nothing. They just let that narrative go along. And I'd also mentioned that one of the other annoying things is that a lot of times people who are of a particular age, they get told about, because there is this idea that all the different people who post on YouTube are all trying to become famous, and they think this will make them basically a celebrity enough to where they don't have to actually do anything outside of this. And I never felt that way, because when I was around during the previous presidential election, it went a little something like this. All the channels that had hundreds of thousands of subs and millions and whatever kept getting bigger, and then me and everybody else just stayed at the bottom, just like these little fish in a pond, basically. And it was really annoying because it seems at every turn thought differently than what was assessed, just of like an entire demographic I was a part of. And I still kept getting lumped into that category for whatever reason, because people wanted to have a easier narrative to sell themselves for why someone or something was experiencing the scenario they were in. But I said, the reason that it's a little bit harder for me to take responsibility for these types of things is that I can't look at certain scenarios past my involvement and say, this is my fault. So if a person, whether it's me or someone else, fills out 30, 40, 50, 60 applications and they either don't hear back from anybody or they're told thanks but no thanks, and they did a little stupid thing where they smile up in your face during the interview. I don't really understand how the hell it is my fault that that person or those people chose to not reciprocate what I was trying to do, which was work for them. Again, especially if they're saying that this interview went so well and we loved the chance to meet you and all that trash, because we're to assume good faith, meaning that they're not being liars, then it makes their decision to not employ that person seem even more strange. But like I said, in the current era, it seems as if everything is built around taking an individual and overinflating their role to the point of simplicity so that you can just kind of get away with saying whatever. Uh, I mean, just like to sit here with this chick thing, right? You've got 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 chicks between social media, between malls, stores, the parking lot, all these places. And you'll get turned down by all of them with some variances. Sometimes you speak to one of them for 2, 3 months. Sometimes you speak to one of them for 2 weeks. Sometimes they say it's just because they're interested. Sometimes they say it's because they're with someone else. All these different variances, right? Because we're told chicks are not all alike. They're not all identical, whatever. But then when all of them say no for whatever reason, after you've spoken to all of these different people, and sometimes they say they're attracted to you, but they're not trying to date anyone right now or something like that, people will still come to the simplistic view that it was you are the issue. When I came on here and talked about those broads, I got called ugly, gay, a rapist, and that was the funniest part. I'm apparently gonna rape chicks, but then also be homosexual at the same time. I'm like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm straight for half the day and gay for the other half apparently. But that's the kind of like weird conflicting stuff that was said, and it just goes back to my point of how it's this weird thing of trying to take that one person, hold them up to a system, which is all these different chicks they spoke to, and then say you are the cause of these 80, 90 people plus's behavior. That there was no external factor. If you had looked this way, you would have magically suddenly seen something different happen. And look, I can ignore the chick thing because it is basically just an element that kind of isn't. I mean, it's not essential to life. It's just at most you get a kid out of it and a good night of screwing, and that's about it. They're really worthless for most other things. Especially as I mentioned before, that every time I see people in a relationship, it's the guy having to pay for everything, and the broad basically gets to sit around and hope that between the triangle in between her legs and the set of melons on her chest, that'll be enough to, uh, I guess, fulfill her role in this relationship. So that's whatever. But the reason, and I've said this before, the work thing is such an issue is because I can't fathom how I can actually see this. Like when that person said, if you cut your hair, it's going to make a difference. That's literally the same nonsense I was told for the chick thing. And I was like, people will really use the same excuses for a bunch of pricks that can pick and choose who they want to hire, doing the exact same thing as chicks, which is you speak to dozens of them, they do the same thing, and they use the same excuses for both groups. Like, how the hell does that work? And I said the reason that the employer thing is as much of an issue as it is because the chick thing we can throw out. You don't need that to survive. It's literally with these employers, people playing with your life. They say, "Oh yeah, come see us tomorrow. We'd love to meet you." You answer all their questions. They smile up in your face like the clowns that they are, and then they choose for whatever reason in their head to not, go forward with you at that time, and then you get blamed for it by whatever people that you know in real life that are continuous figures. Like what semblance of sense does that make? The person who goes out and applies to 50, 60 places is the reason all of them said no, not the people who actually are supposed to be hiring someone. The person who has no record of anything that theoretically would make them so, because I said before that I don't have like some large huge number of experience, but does someone really need that for, like, just think logically for 2 seconds. Let's play devil's advocate. Sure, they're going to want people who have experience, but for all 50, 60, 70 of these places, for these different applications, that was the key. If I put on there, I was at McDonald's for 8 years, that was really going to just make them magically, especially again, is it's a lie, so you can't verify it. That's why I said you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you don't, if you don't apply, oh my God, you that's why no one said anything because you didn't apply. And then when you do apply, well, it has to have been something you did when you went to the interview. But most of these places, you don't even get an interview. You literally just go on their site, fill out a stupid application over and over. They say nothing, and then you're left there having to scratch your head figuring out what the hell decision did they make. Like, literally, I'm gonna do a sequel to California's Excrement Employers. It's gonna have a 2 at the end of it. I applied last week to one place at four. You know what? Not one application, not two, not four, not six, not eight, not 10, 14. But if all of those still choose to say nothing, my fault. I'm supposed to be Professor X, beam into their head, you will hire me. Every single one of those places makes the same decision, but hey, my fault. I'm the issue. I control everybody. I'm like Mesmero. Forget Professor X. I'm Mesmero. I have mind control powers. I'm supposed to make everyone do whatever I want. I mean, Jesus Christ. And I told you I don't have any kind of, like, I don't believe in the computer stuff because people just, for the most part, are really kind of flaky. Like, I remember I had one guy when I was doing a stream, he was like, I haven't been on your channel in a year. Well, I mean, did someone hurt your feelings? Did you get kidnapped? No, he just chose not to come on here for a year. But because of individuals such as that, it's not, this computer stuff was never realistic to me. Like, sure, you come on here, you do a stream, but to actually take it seriously and try to make something like that is over. That fantasy never existed for me because I just saw that most people don't have that kind of continued sustained support for channels. Hell, you even have a lot of those romance guys who turned out to be hypocrites because they would come on. I love the fact that these relationship gurus like to look for this kind of stuff. They would come on my stuff and be like, you need to talk about something else because when you have other interests, blah, 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 blah. And then you talk about something else and they vanish. You never see them again. They're just completely fluttering off somewhere to just no kind of idea of where they are. And, screw them. So it's good they're gone. But I thought it was really crazy that all of these really simple things I requested, right? Some kind of position, a relationship of some kind. These are things that I've seen so many people have. And the idea that you could talk to or theoretically get involved with a whole bunch of people who can theoretically give that to you but refuse. And it's supposed to be you as the issue, not all these people who do the same exact thing despite supposedly being different from each other. That just leaves me wordless. I said one of the reasons I don't like to really engage with a lot of these former places that I applied to is because it's hard to go back to that place and smile up in these people's faces after they've done something so dirty. They ignore what you're, especially when they have you come in for an interview. Because I remember when I went to one of those in September, I was literally having fantasies of just working at. It was like, yes, this stupid saga is finally over. They seem so impressed by my kid because the manager over there was like, oh, really? Oh, you did this? Oh. And then you get a call a couple weeks later. Actually, they don't call you. You call them because you're like, what the hell? You guys won't say anything. Oh, you didn't answer your phone, even though you have your phone on you and you didn't call me. So I hired somebody else. Man, I hung up right in that person's face. I didn't even care anymore. Again, if they don't care, why should I? I know because their decisions personally affect me in a very serious way. I mean, like to have an employer, right? A guy who called you on Tuesday, you didn't call him back until Friday, and he still wanted to interview you. To have that person lie and say they called me yesterday when I have my phone on me at all times and I get all these different, and I had their number say, like it was just a lie. And like it was so ridiculous because they could have just not answered the phone. But instead, I get redirected to go and apply to another one of their stores that is some ungodly number of miles from anywhere I'm even close to, and that's supposed to be some fair, reasonable scenario. That's supposed to make sense. It's like, hey, we the one that's 5 miles away, they chose to not accept your thing. How about you apply the one that's 30 miles away? Telling you, people get more upset by what I say than what people actually do. No one has been fired because of me. No one has been unemployed because of me. No one has. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. They like. I guess with online, it's just between because I always thought when you're online, people are antagonistic, but it's the people in real life who are the worst ones because they will say what the because you can always assume when people are typing stuff, they might be laughing while they're writing it because they know it sounds ridiculous. In real life, I have people who will literally say, "Oh yeah, this person is not employed, so that's because they're lazy, or this person is not with the woman, so that must mean they're gay." Because there's no other scenario where they couldn't be one of those two things as a result of the other component choosing to not get involved with them in that particular way. I swear, it's just all this is the blame game. They look for one person to try and do this to because they don't want to accept the fact that you can apply to 60, 70 places and not hear anything back, or if all you hear back is thanks but no thanks. I'm really glad I did the excrement video. I'm very happy I did that because I'm just so sick and tired of because I that was proof. I showed all the different ones from that period of less than 2 months. It was literally one every other day. If you calculate, it was like 50 some days, 28. I'm really glad I did that because there all these little weird fantasies people have. Oh, if you just try hard, it'll all change and get better. No. But again, it's not because the person who's doing that stuff isn't showing effort. It's because the people they're doing it for are doing it with. Like I guess I'll put it this way: a society and any type of thing someone wants to do is only as strong as its weakest part. So, for example, when I would do my show, which every episode you got to draw like 600 pictures or whatever, I would have no problem committing myself to doing 30 or 60 a day. That way, there was one done every like 2 weeks. But the issue I'd run into is that I would ask a voice actor to record some lines, and then they would have such a difficult time just staring at a piece of paper and reading some stuff and turn it into me in some timely way. I'd have one person who would say, "I'll do this next week." Next week turns into 2 months. And so I realized, wait a second, it's not me as this supposedly lazy person who's, sitting here for hours drawing all this stuff so they can actually have the thing that they want come to pass. It's the people around me refusing to basically let any of this progress because they control a portion of it that are causing this to be the scenario that it's in. But it's that same logic of I can't look like if I was a person, right? And I didn't apply anywhere. Okay, fine. But then again, that video I did wouldn't exist because I wouldn't have anything to show of proof of me continuously saying, "Hey, I want to be employed," or "Hey, hey, 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 hey." But with the chick thing, I did a video. What was that? I think the December before last. It was the same thing. I showed proof of over 20 chicks I had spoken to, all the little different weird stuff they say. "Oh, I like talking to you so much." A week later, I would rather we never speak again. Goodbye forever. It was if I just sat here or didn't attempt to speak to all of those damn clowns, I would get and fully comprehend how I could be blamed for this stuff. But as it stands, I can't look at a scenario where I've spoken to over 70 of these clowns. Well, yeah, Envoy, it's I mean, I'm going to complain if it doesn't get any better in spite of whatever attempts or efforts I make, because a lot of people like to do their little One day, someday it will improve. One day, someday it will improve. And you have no reason to believe it because you have basic, and you remember Envoy basic reason deduction, basic pattern recognition skills. So if the last 90 chicks said no, the 91st is probably going to do the exact same thing. If the last 60 places you applied to don't say anything back, or if they do, it's thanks but no thanks, the 61st will probably do the same thing too. Just like it's patterns. You can look at this stuff and reasonably figure it out. Yeah, I'm really just sick of it. But like I said, that's all that people seem to do anymore is just blame someone for. And I guess what makes it all the more dropping is that the same people who will attack me over like these employers not saying anything back. Well, first of all, they don't even ask to see any of the uh, applications. They just assume that I just decided I wasn't gonna apply. And I don't bother to show them because I mean, hey, if you want to have a ridiculous view of me, then hey, keep whatever, have whatever one you want, retain it. But it's really insane because a lot of times, well, it's similar to the first one with this title. I'll put it that way, Envoy. A lot of times you actually will have the same group of people. So when I bring up the chick with the baby, one of the reasons that bothers me also is that since we know a lot of the same people, I will watch that person's reactions to the people that I interact with or their reactions to this person. And it's like night and day different because all of these people, as I said before, they cursed at, they yelled at all this stuff. At that same time as I was holding it in, because I said before that I try to not have confrontation and whatnot. But the point is that this person was very vocal with their disgust and disdain and negative views towards all these people. They pop out this kid, and now everybody gets to go, "Ooh, it's so cute! Oh my God! Oh, it looks so nice!" Ooh, 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 ooh. And I was in awe because this was confirmation that all you have to do to get redeemed is to pop out a child. You don't have to apologize to anybody. You don't have to say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry for all I did." No atoning for your sins other than laying up in the bed and popping out. And I guess what kills me is that like they act so damn happy to see this thing. It's like, okay, that doesn't erase what this person did. Like literally, this person, the last time they tried to get back on good terms with me was about a year before they had this kid. And I had someone who said, "Well, are you going to just be mad at them for the rest of your life?" I said, "They could have 1 billion babies and I wouldn't care. I don't care if they breeded like a rabbit. It wouldn't make a difference. Think you can try and insult me and then pop out some child and that's supposed to make me want to go, oh my God, ooh." No, I've seen a bunch of those things on the internet. I don't think I'm seeing one in real life is going to make me magically be so astonished. Like they literally mesmerized all these different people that they pissed off into forgiving them by opening up their legs. And no one thinks that's weird. No one says, what the hell? That's why I said I live in the twilight zone, because only in the twilight zone could you talk to 90 plus chicks and they all say no and then get told about how every one of them was above your league and all this trash. Only in the twilight zone could you apply to 60, 70 places and have them either say nothing back or say thanks with no thanks after some interview where they're smiling up in your face and then be told of how your hair is the reason for why. Even though, again, most of these places don't even see you because they don't even meet you in person. Only in the Twilight Zone could you give voice actors months, 60, 90, 120 days to do lines and get told of how you're rushing everybody and that's a big turnoff. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? You had a third of a year to do 10 lines. Oh my God, what the hell is wrong with people? It's like all they exist for is just to make things ridiculous and stupid for no reason. God damn, like, excuse me for thinking that the main purpose of being a parent is to create an environment that is sustainable for both the child in the present and the future. So when you pop out a kid and you don't have a college fund for it, any line of education lined up for it, have to beg multiple other people to watch it because you and your spouse are too stupid to organize for yourself to sometimes be at work while the other one is watching because there's two people. It's like, yeah, that makes you dumb. And just like with this employer thing, you go out, you talk to 40, 50 places. Actually, you don't talk to them. You apply to 40, 50 different places, and you get maybe 3 or 4 of them to actually meet you in person. And then during the interview, hi, how you doing? What's up? Oh, well, you know this. Oh, I didn't know. Well, and then hours later, hello, did I get in? Oh, well, we have determined that we would like to not go forward with your application. We sincerely hope that you apply. I just hang that up. Yeah. But Envoy, if you were doing something so, and this is the point to make that I'm making, if you're doing something so wrong, why the hell would these people smile up in your face? Like if I just went in there, I was like, you hoes better hire me. Theoretically, they would get upset and say, get the hell out of here. No, Envoy, it is literally like being in your own private hell. Because as you're sitting here attempting to get employment for one of these pricks, you get told about how you're so lazy and don't want to do anything by people who are so lazy and don't even do anything to enough to ask how many, if at all, places have you applied to. You try to go to school and you get price gouged out of it because no damn 20-year-old that's not rich or assisted by their parents has 12,000 to give to some damn school. They just don't. They don't. That's like looking for a unicorn, unless it's one of those two scenarios. So then you do the reasonable thing and you try to ask your supposed elders who care so much about you going to school. And then they say, oh, I'm so tight-pocketed and I can't afford for you to go. And then while they're saying this, you're watching them spend 3,000 on a stupid floor, 2,000 on painting some all kind of stuff that they don't need, that they'll shell out thousands of dollars for. But you're supposed to believe, oh, they're so destitute and they're so poor and they just can't make it and win. And then you come on here and you talk about the chick stuff and you get the nice little cartoon characters who say, oh, well, the reason that he never got with anyone is because all of the chicks are above his league or over his league or out of his league. They will, people will say with a straight face that this man has no confidence, which is why he was calling them stupid and saying he was smart. Someone with no confidence would say that. And then they'll also say that 90 plus, like, think of how insane it is. I guarantee you, if we took just a straight person, right, of either gender, if we took 90 random guys, 90 random chicks, you would find some of them ugly. Like, because the sheer number of people specifies that some of them are not going to look that appealing to you. I know all kind of people. I told about the chick thing. They saw some picture in real life of some broad I was trying to get with. Like, oh my God, ew. I've received where they just throw you aside like it's like yesterday's garbage is crazy. Well, that's why I said I'm in my own little private hell because it's like you do this thing with the, like if it was just one thing, the work, the chicks, whatever, but to have all of them just swirling around continuously. And it's like no matter what you do, you can apply to, all these places. You can talk to another 50 chicks. You can go and dig for more VAs. They just keep doing the same thing, just circling around you. You're in this little stagnant. It really is like being on a hamster wheel. But as you're trying to jump off the wheel via applying to these places, trying to get one of these chicks that claims they're interested to settle down, whatever, someone keeps sticking you back on it. Yeah, the man screaming in the woods. We can use that one. I mean, god damn, this is insane. Like I really never thought I would see the day where someone could because I did believe in the strength of numbers. I did like to have that little hope that people keep talking about. But when you apply to dozens of places, when you talk to dozens of chicks, there you're eventually, if you're a reasonable person who doesn't just have blind devotion to the idea that something is going to change because a number of years pass, you do start to kind of lose hope. I'm like, I genuinely don't believe chick name will ever change, but I made peace with that because again, it didn't serve as something like the worst that does for me long term is not being able to reproduce, which a lot of people don't do, and it happens. But when it comes to the employer thing, it's so mind-numbingly insane because I don't understand how the hell someone can fill out all of these things, hear nothing back, or get some stupid interview where they smile in your face and throw you out, and that's normal. And then I have people who get upset with me for ragging on some broad with a kid. I said, look, the issue is not that they had a child. The issue is that they had one they couldn't afford. And I'm not going to suddenly, because I said before, if this person was my friend, I could at least, that I would probably be 99% more likely to not mention it. But because they're not, there's someone that burned the bridge with me and then hope because they spit out a kid, I would suddenly forgive them, or that I'd be like everybody else and switch over to being on their side again. No. Yeah, that's the worst aspect. I would advise men to perhaps adopt, but that's not the same as having. Well, that was my point, Envoy. That's why I was so reluctant to do it. But like, and that's kind of what is so frustrating about the, I guess, having any kind of sympathy, because I do think that unless myself or someone else finds a way to weasel themselves into being involved in that child's financial upbringing, it's going to forever be screwed because of the people. I mean, like I said, it's just, it sucks because you want to punish the parents, but you don't want to punish the kid. And when you pay for their decision, it's like you're forgiving them retroactively. I guess it's just it's such a I probably would just say screw it. Like I just can't be involved with something like that because I can't have those kind of conflicting emotions. But at the same time, I'm fully aware, since I didn't, it's not mine. It's not my responsibility to get involved. Yeah, people just don't have foresight. They don't have anything. They don't have sympathy. They don't have. And I told you, Envoy, with the ladylike and logic, last year when we found out that the broad was knocked up, she was like, she said, and I'll never forget these words: I don't believe in judging people who are struggling through their lives. But this whore had wasted no time trying to judge me over the chick stuff. Because at one point she became aware of the school situation over that. Yeah. And then she went, well, by judging people who are struggling through their lives, I meant that it tried to flip it around later. But you get the point. That's why I said chicks get all kind of benefits for no reason. Like, Envoy, we need to just go to some alternate world, and like there's like a female Envoy, and that one doesn't even watch my stuff because she's too distracted with the 90 dudes that are trying to pay for her everything. Okay, foresight, that's for far removed from today's society in so many aspects. Oh, of course. Definitely. I mean, I have a lot of foresight. That's why I don't buy stuff I don't need. That's why I don't have children running around I can't take care of. That's why chicks have not taken all. I had one who tried to do that. This is the biggest gold digger in history. That's why that one failed, and that's why the other ones will fail. And I also, as I mentioned before, when this stupid wood thing happened, the wood floor thing that made me go to the motel, I said that one of the reasons I don't buy things that are thousands of dollars is because I never know what could happen in the future. Less than a month later, this person came up against something that, admittedly, again, because I don't want to give this too much away of what happened to them, a person did something to them, not physically, but just a situation, right, where they're going to have to spend thousands of dollars. And I feel no sympathy or empathy because guess what? They destroyed my premise for their little vanity project, and now they're seeing what happens when you waste that much money on stuff you don't need. So it was really the perfect irony. Again, doesn't mean I believe what that other person did was right, but hey, you chose to spend on something that you didn't need, that cost that much, that and now complain about how much it's going to cost you to do this other thing. So, oh well. Oh yeah, she changed her words, huh? She changed the meaning of judgment. So many people do that, especially women. Yeah, but it was her just trying to like find a piss poor way of excusing the behavior of this broad. Oh, she's struggling. It's like, well, I was struggling with this chick stuff and with going to school and you didn't try to not judge me. So don't let's not try to pretend it doesn't have to do with the vagina hive mind. You know the famous quote using this channel, it's a feminist world and you ain't in it. Yeah. They ironically enough at that third to last place I went to for an interview, they actually did have a broad working in there. One broad. I was like, maybe she's the resident person they take into the back room. You never know. Wouldn't be too surprised. God, I'm just so astonished. Like it really I do believe I'm in my own little private hell. Like if I want to do my show, I can't do it because I have to wait months for a voice actor to record something. If I want to go somewhere and work, I have to fill out 90 applications just for one of them to maybe say come for an interview. Again, maybe, you know, if you want to get married, you got to talk to a billion chicks who all play the same game of we're not interested as we speak to you month after month. Let's not forget the Dear John letter writer. I'm attracted to you. I think you're funny and you're intelligent, but I'm not interested in you. It makes a lot of sense. And again, nobody ever comes and says that's weird. Like if I came on here in a video and I said there was this woman I thought was so beautiful. Oh, envoy, I left those alone. Those are long gone. I remember being I was on maybe I was on Tinder for probably I think 2 weeks. And I kept swiping right on like must be 30 or 40 chicks, and none of them responded ever. I was like, man, this is stupid. To hell with that website. To hell with that app. Yeah, I'm finished with the. Like I said, if I ever do get sick of YouTube, that will literally be me off the internet. Because other than here, the only other website I use is Discord, and even then, I don't actually speak to people on there other than like 2 people. So I'm just tired of overextending myself. It's really obnoxious. Oh yeah, well you know what they did to me in June. So after they did that, so I'm done with this stupid site. I even had one guy on Wikipedia tried to contact me and ask me to give my opinion on some article. I said, no, sorry, sir, I don't go on here anymore after the way that last person talked crazy to me. Oh my God, it's Jimmy Crack. Yeah. From what I understand, that site has gone down. I don't mean actually getting flagged or anything, but just I've seen it come offline a couple of times. So I kind of YouTube just seems like it's more stabler than that. I've only seen one time in like the last 3 years where you couldn't get on YouTube whenever you wanted. But I am aware of that site. I'm aware of BitChute, all those places. Twitch. I had to do a Twitch stream, only 2 people on there. Just like over, like, good old times on YouTube. I say, what a wondrous occasion. Yeah, they're really. It just seems like there's no benefit to doing any of this stuff. Like, what's the point of applying to these places if you're going to get turned down by each one of them? That's why with the excrement too, you're gonna see like a week or 2 gap where I just didn't apply because like, what's the point? They don't even say anything back for the most part. And it doesn't mean you don't want to look for state, but it does mean that at some point you get fatigued from doing certain things over and over without getting the desired result. Just like with the chick thing. I can't talk to 90 of them and at best get told I'm attractive, but they're not interested, and think that it makes any sense to keep talking to them. I remember Envoy, I remember the lady lacking logic because I was like, all I got from talking to all these stupid chicks was stories, and she said, "That's all any of us have." Even though, again, people who've been married have children together. They sometimes open businesses together. They sometimes, hell, in some cases, they even you get the point that that the idea that really any relationship, even if it's platonic, you can actually have something from. Like me and my best friend, I always cherish that stream we did together because I don't like to really allow people to collaborate with me because I can't control what they say. That's why you heard him cursing and swearing on there. Hell, I got more out of that one day with him than I did out of 7 or 8 years of talking to chicks. That's the ironic part. But you get my point that she was just saying whatever she could to try and refute what I was saying, and her stuff didn't make much sense, which is why it's so easy to break it down. Oh, Envoy, did you have you seen the admits jealousy video yet? Where I mentioned how you want me to believe that chicks are above my league. So if I own some great car and some uh, mansion, and then some broad is lived in a box, and you think she has a prettier face than me, she's above my league. I'm like, it's guys saying this. You're not supposed to think I'm attractive. I would hope not. Man, that's some crazy stuff. Oh yes, this woman, even though she owns nothing, and besides a sex organ that billions of other broads have, she is definitely above your league. Dude, you would think the U.S. population was like, I don't know, 10% women, 90% dudes from the amount of like. Sometimes one of those broads mentioned talking to 20 of them. Oh my God, it's Megumi. He showed up. I was missing him during yesterday's stream. I hadn't seen him in such a long time. I got so excited. No, it's the Twilight Zone. So, hard work. Dude, like literally, Dragon Ball is like the real world where in the sense that we're told hard work matters, but then the humans in Piccolo train more are just as much as the Saiyans, and they still can't keep up. So you can go out and talk to just like with me and the broad with the baby. I went out and talked to way more chicks than she did dudes, but she ends up having a stable relationship and getting with some guy. Like that's how that's how crooked all of this is. And this person said, "Well, you don't think someone else deserves happiness?" Like, no, but if I'm talking to more people, I damn sure deserve it. But again, you can't say that without being entitled because we all know entitled people speak to over 90 chicks. That's the calling card of entitlement. Actually attempting to know these people and uh, do what they like and what, yeah, that's definitely entitlement. That they nailed it right on the head. Makes a lot of sense. Tell you, people just say whatever on here, man. They don't even care. They just like logic is thrown out the window for the sake of making a ridiculous argument. Let me see. Always. Oh, that's nice. God, I really let me also Envoy. Let me tell you something else in reference to the show. And I might address this in another video. I have a trio of VAs who are like basically not as what's a good word for it? I think their quality is as good as the other ones, but they don't record as often as the other ones do. So I've got like half of them way past 37, and then the other ones are just like right around that same. Like, dude, I almost feel like I'd have to harass them to get them to record at all. And I said before, I don't like confrontation, so it's like this really trying thing on my personality to have to go to people and say, "Hey, record this," and like go, just because it's you know what I'm saying? Like to try to be sympathetic to people because they have other commitments in real life and whatnot. But at the same token, if you don't do anything month after month, I start to kind of go, what the hell? So that's why it's taken so long for. No, Envoy. Literally, if you want me to, I can actually turn my computer on, go to iMovie, and show you. I have almost all of 37 done and 38. I had to start working on other ones even further ahead of that because I said if I wait on these people, this thing will never get finished. But again, this is how why it's so frustrating because I'm willing to sit there and do the work of drawing this whole thing out every day, 30 plus pictures out of some 600 plus, and then all they have to do is read a piece of paper every couple of weeks, and they refuse to even do that. And then I have people talking about I understand your pain and I have empathy. Man, I hate that so much. Like, yeah, you have empathy. How about this? We trade. You go on. You come on here. You draw 600 pictures in 2 weeks, and then you can tell me about your empathy. I even said this in the top 10 worst mothers video. I said if you truly have if you're a chick and you have empathy for what I'm experiencing, then cut your titties off and stick a banana in between your legs and go out and try to talk to 90 or 100 chicks and see how far you get, and then you can have my empathy or have me believe that lie. People have never experienced 1/30th of the rejections and lies and smears I've had between these internet clowns and the ones in real life, and they want to tell me about their empathy. It's ridiculous. That's like me going on some broad's video complaining about her having a period and being like, I understand your pain. No, I don't. Okay, waiting for others can hold you back. That's one of the main things I learned as an adult. Well, yeah, you can relate to it because you actually have to go through the experience of talking to all of these people of the opposite gender just to go on a date. Like, we're not getting married. We're not, I don't know, exchanging souls. All we're doing is going on a date, a one-night event, and you got to talk. And they'll always say, I don't go on dates with people I don't know. Well, that's kind of the point of going on the damn thing so you can get to know that person. And if you don't like him, you have the option to never see or speak to him again. That's why when I did the Admit Jealousy video, I made sure to mention the chick that was like, what do you call it, the lady lacking logic doing her little cry fest of, I went on Tinder and they kept asking me if I did anal and if I did blah, blah. You know, complaining about how all these men were asking her sexual stuff. Then she speaks to one who doesn't do any of that, get the same result. Or that one chick that was on Reddit leaving me all those nasty messages about wanting to do all kinds of whoop me and the rest. And then all of a sudden it just stops. And I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, oh, let's talk on Skype. And I said, what happened to the sexual stuff? Oh, I have a friend and I date in real life and I like him. I was like, okay, well, thank you for confirming the last 20 days were a complete waste of my time. And she got mad. I was like, oh, well, you can get mad. It's the truth. It's like, how the hell are you going to come on here begging for a penis and then get one in the real world so that the 20 plus guys who responded, like literally everybody got their time wasted and lost after she put up that Reddit post. I had that happen so many times. It's not even funny. Well, I'm laughing at this because of just how insane that was. Like, dude, it was like flipping on an off switch. She went from, I can't wait to put you up against my lap and whoop you with a belt to, yeah, so let's go back to being friends. Like, no! I'm not taking second or third or fourth place because you wanted to go around in real life and meet some clown. Go talk to him. He can talk to you. In all the different capacities, all the romantic, the platonic, he can do all of that. So you go talk to him. Told you I ditched the friend zone. Because if I'm not good enough for the romance stuff, I'm not good enough for any of the things that would come underneath it. Just like with the Dear John letter writer. Oh, I was with this guy and you're way more attractive and funnier and smarter than he is, but I'm not interested. Okay, well then go to hell. I'll sit over here and try to gas me up and then try to get me to take. And I guess I want people to understand why that bothers me so much. If you admit that this person is an upgrade from the last person you were with and you still have no interest, like that's insane. Nobody thinks that's weird. I'm gonna take the crappier model gets to go further up the chain, but the one who you think is superior, oh no, he can just stay. He can stay at the bottom. He can be friend zoned and you know, uh, speak to me as I screw my friend or whatever. Just, man, yeah, Megumi, it is. That's why I said that I'm in it's my private hell, because it's literally like the trio of wanting to do the show, but having the VAs act ridiculous. Um, the employers, they don't say anything, or if they do, they're playing with you. They're playing with your life, and then the chicks, because it just stays the same continuously, and I'm just so sick of it. Because like if I were unhinged, or if I wasn't as, I think, calm as I am, because I was even doing some screaming earlier in this, I would probably curse all of them out. Like, I would go to these employers and say, you pricks, I filled out these damn things, and you don't have the audacity to even respond, because, but that would still, the reason that I can still hold myself back from doing it is because I'm not mad at one, and this is why I say the chick and employer stuff has this one similarity, because it's so many different places doing the same thing. None of them stand out to where you especially feel angry at one in particular. Like with the chick stuff, I've had multiple chicks say I was attractive, all this stuff, and then they still choose to not do anything with you. And I can't get mad at one over the other, so I just say, all right, you're all idiots. Told you, I have a lot more respect for some bimbo walking around the mall that says, I won't give you my number, because at least they don't entertain the thought of possibly doing anything further with you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna go and probably see if I can finish this video for tomorrow or Wednesday, which is the top 10 worst mothers of the decade. But like I said, I just am tired of having to keep playing this stupid game. Like, I'm sick of whatever. So thank you for watching. I'm in my own little private hell. This is the Twilight Zone.